That game, I think, is the end of Ange. There's no Ange Ball. There's been no Ange Ball the last month. And when every player is available to him, bar Kulusevski, who's probably been your best player this season, you can't really make excuses up for Ange. The Ange of last season, even when Tottenham weren't great, there was signs, there was elements, and then they'd have a couple of players come back from injury, and then they were showing this and they were showing that, and they were showing a boost. And while Tottenham have had injuries, and while Tottenham, they've got some really exciting young players, and I don't think Ange has been backed. And there's bigger problems than Ange at the club. You know, Daniel Levy, they need to sort it up at the top because the next manager that will come in, if he's not treated well, he's going to end up like all the other managers. But I watched this game and I just said, Ange doesn't exist anymore. It's not there. Tottenham wouldn't get points, but they'd be entertaining to watch. This game was one of the worst games of football I've watched, and that's not me disrespecting Chelsea. Chelsea worked hard. I'm going to talk about Chelsea in the second half of this video. I thought Casado was excellent. But the VAR decisions taking 5 minutes, I just knew Tottenham were going to do nothing despite the game being 102 minutes long. The most exciting thing to come out of that game was Ange, actually getting a cup in his ears, because the Spurs fan booed him for taking Bergwall off, who's probably been your best player over the last 3 months. And I just think Ange Postecoglou will leave Tottenham. I think Ange Postecoglou will be sacked. I don't think they'll sack him before the Frankfurt game because there's nobody that can come in. I think he'll be sacked at the end of the season. I think a replacement will come in. I think if Thomas Frank's available, you'll go for him, maybe Iriola. I think Ange Postecoglou is gone. Regardless if he pulls off a miracle in the Europa League, I think he is gone in the summer. I think 15 losses, 14th place. Players are coming back from injury, but Ange Ball isn't there. If Ange Ball was there and you're showing signs of progress, he can keep his job. I think he's gone. But I think the way he's going is the most embarrassing way you can go. The cup in your hands. I can't believe he done that. I can't believe he done that. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk about Tottenham, and then I am going to talk about Chelsea. Moyes is going to say my man of the match. We've got to talk about Tottenham and Ange. No effort, no nothing from Tottenham. I think elements of this is, look, I thought Bentancur was poor today. I think Basuma isn't good enough, and I don't think Ange has the players, to be honest. But regardless of that, he's not motivating the players. We're not seeing Ange Ball anymore. It used to be Ange Ball and Tottenham would concede goals and Ange would leave them open, but it was a team that was exciting to watch going forward. They've just know nothing at Tottenham. And Chelsea have been out of form. And I thought Chelsea were good, they worked hard today, but Tottenham just didn't really do much. There was no system. Everybody's fit by Kulusevski. There's not an excuse for Ange. And I'm someone that's got behind Ange. I'm someone that supported Ange because I've always felt the biggest problem at Tottenham isn't the manager. You can keep changing managers, but those managers aren't going to succeed until those at the top of the club change and fix up. Now, I think you've got this exciting project, Archie Gray, Vuskovic coming in, Bergvall. You've got brilliant youth. And I always felt if Ange Postecoglou got a top-level DM, he got that left centre-back and left-back, and he got a proper winger and a backup for Solanke, those 5 key, with the young players coming through and them going to improve every season, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a reason to back Ange. But when everybody is fit and you're not seeing Ange Ball, and you've not for the last few months, it's very hard to back Ange. And I was asked, as a Manchester United fan, would I sack Ange? And I said, it massively depends on what happens between now and the end of the season and what manager's available at the end of the season. But if you said to me, Thomas Frank would take the Tottenham job in the summer, I would sack Ange for someone like Thomas Frank. If you said Gareth Southgate would take the Tottenham job, I'd probably back Ange and give her the money into the summer and hope that he could turn it around in his 3rd season, if that makes sense. But when Ange is doing little things like this, it's one of the most embarrassing ways to go out, because I think he is gone. I think he is going to leave. But the way and manner in which he's leaving is bad. And I don't think he deserves a lot of the abuse he's getting. I like Matthias Tell sticking up for him. But he came in as this likeable guy, mate. Everyone liked him. And now he's given it the big one when this is the worst ever season Spurs have had. And while it's not completely his fault, Daniel Levy, those at the top have got to take responsibility. Injuries have been bad. The way he cups his hand, he does say he always gets cupped in his 2nd season, but I don't think he meant that. At the Tottenham fans, he took Bergwall, who's been your best player in the last 3 months, for Sarr, and I like Sarr, I like Bergwall, blah, blah, blah. Tottenham fans have every right to be frustrated that Bergwall's the one that comes off. I think Bentancur should have come off, in my personal opinion. And Tottenham fans boo that because they're 15th, they're fed up, the game's rubbish. Tottenham fans have every right to boo that. And then because Sarr scores, you give it back to the Tottenham fans. But Sarr didn't even score. He could have even been sent off. The goal got ruled out. So, you're giving it back to your own fans because they've booed a decision that they have the right to boo. They are frustrated. Tottenham fans have every right to be frustrated. I don't agree with some of the abuse Ange gets, but you have the right to express frustration. Now, I'm someone that's been positive about Ange because I've understood there's bigger problems at Tottenham. I've understood the project. But even now, someone that's given Ange the benefit of the doubt and stuck up for him, I say this guy is losing the plot. He's going to have to win the Europa League, and he's going to have to do something between now and the end of the season that's pretty good to keep his job, because I think he's gone. Cup in the ears. The goal was disallowed. You shouldn't have cupped your ears anyway, but the goal being disallowed now just makes it a really embarrassing situation. It looks like an idiot. Um, Spurs playing poorly. I watched Man United this season, and we've been atrocious to watch. And in the stadium, you're going to react. There's 60 minutes into the game, there's been nothing. There's been nothing to get you excited, nothing to get you off your feet. And the manager subs a player off that's been your best player the last 3 months. When you've got a Bentancur there, you're gonna be. You have every right to be unhappy. The fans aren't happy with what they're seeing, so I don't know why you're cupping your ears at them. I really don't, because you're mocking the supporters voicing frustration. They have the right to voice frustration. This is Tottenham Hotspur. They don't deserve to be 14th in the league. They are a team that should be challenging top 6 every season. They might not be a Champions League team, but they should always be at least in Europa League, challenging for Champions League every season. Tottenham fans want to do more than that. They want to win the league. But they're not a 14th place side. And I feel like I can relate to elements of Tottenham as a Man United fan this season, the frustration and stuff. And I wanted Ten Hag to have to the end of the season, and I was more than willing for Ten Hag to stay. But we learned that keeping Ten Hag and giving him another window just sets us back further. I think for me, I wouldn't sack Ange today or tomorrow. I would give him to the end of the season, because there's just nobody you can bring in for that Frankfurt game. But it does look like Tottenham are just going to lose that Frankfurt game. And is there anyone you could bring in for it that could improve your chances? I'm not sure. I think some of the players do like Ange. I wouldn't sack Ange until the end of the season, because I feel like there's just no point. But I think in the end of the season, you're going to have to sack Ange and bring in a new manager and spend the money on that new manager. Unless you can't get a manager that is good, you stick with Ange, because there's a project, there's youth, the young players like him. There's lots of good things he did, what he showed in his first season, elements at the beginning of this season, what he showed. But you have to hope that Ange goes back to that. And we hoped that Ten Hag would go back to what he showed in his first season. He didn't. And it set us back further, not sacking Ten Hag. So I think Ange could be gone, because I think he's really losing the supporters. When he's doing little things like that, he's really losing the supporters. Continuing on. So here were some of my notes on Spurs. Out of ideas going forward. Kulusevski, big miss. I feel like there's a lack of spark and connection right in the final third. I think Son's just passed his best. Solanke barely touched the ball. Felt for Solanke, actually. Bentancur looks totally out of place, whether it's Bentancur, whether it's Basuma playing in the pivot. In the 6, they just both don't look good enough. They look out of it. And I liked Bentancur, to be fair. She's just really fallen off. Spurs had everyone available, and I had 102 minutes, and you did not see Ange Ball. We've not seen Ange Ball the last 2 games. You've got every player available. As someone that has backed Ange, I can't back him when Mickey van der Ven's back, Romero's back. When everybody was out injured and he had 8 first-team players fit, I could say, look, to be fair to him, he's got nobody fit. But I can't give it an excuse for Ange, despite the fact that I know the people above Ange have still got to change, because the next manager will struggle. But there was zero fight from Tottenham. The players aren't up to it. The players aren't performing. Some of the players need to go. A lot of players need to go at Tottenham, because it's the young players stepping up for Tottenham. There's 102 minutes and just nothing, and you have everybody but Kulusevski. I know your record versus Chelsea isn't good, but if you gave a bit of fight, you gave Sanchez 8 worldies of saves to make, and you were dominating the game, and you were unlucky. It's different, but there was nothing. And then you go and cup in your hands. The quality of football's declined, because Tottenham, as I said earlier, sometimes you wouldn't get results, but there was a game that was interesting, there was moments. Whereas I just feel there's nothing. I feel like the quality of Tottenham's football, since the players have come back from injury, has been just as bad as when the players were injured. It's not made that sort of difference as good as Van der Ven and Romero are, and as good as key players coming back are. And I think Ange is starting to really react to things that in press conferences, post-match reaction, he's really getting emotional. And when Tottenham are 14th in the league and lost 15 games, if fans are criticising Ange, they have a right to. I don't think that Ange should be abused. I think that there's fans that are giving him way too much stick, and I don't agree with that. But he can't be giving it back to the fans for criticising him, because he is the manager. He's got to take responsibility for elements of that, completely. And look, as I said, I'm a Man United fan, and I'm aware that Man United and Tottenham is like a graveyard for managers. So sacking a manager isn't going to solve the issues. You're still going to be in trouble. There's bigger issues there. But I really am struggling to defend what he's doing. These are my notes. The real issue goes deeper at the club. Every manager in recent years has failed, often due to poor recruitment and lack of real backing. The only player Ange got in that wasn't a teenager in the summer was Solanke. I don't think he was backed, and I think that's something that Tottenham need to look at, getting some more experienced players in. Because I think youth is great, but you need the foundation there for the youth to develop. I think, if a better manager is available in the summer, you've got to look at it. I think there was Ange Ball back in the day. There was a footballing identity, even if Tottenham weren't getting results, even if they had injuries. And I feel like fans criticised Ange for playing Ange Ball all the time and not adapting to injuries. And now he's not playing Ange Ball, but it's worse because there's nothing to see in terms of progress. So yeah, these were just my random notes I thought I'd add to the slide. I think Tottenham have this exciting project. I think Vuskovic is going to come in, Bergvall, Archie Gray, Mikey Moore. I think you've got some of the most exciting young players in football. I think you've got these amazing talents, but performances like this is sackable. And it's like you could give Ange 5 really good signings, spend a load of money on him in the summer and say, this is Ange's 3rd season. He's going to play Ange Ball. The young players are going to be a season more developed. But I do look at it and I think there's a Thomas Frank, there's an Iriola. They're Premier League proven. Ange doesn't have that Premier League provenness. Maybe you go for that. If you could bring Poch back, I don't think you'd be able to with the World Cup coming up. Maybe. But I want to talk about the game in general, not just Tottenham. I want to talk about some other points. I thought VAR was an absolute joke today. You like how I took that big pause? Because I'll tell you what, VAR took an even bigger pause to make a simple decision. Tottenham's goal should have been ruled out. Casado was, the Casado one was offside. It takes, we can see, particularly the Sar one, okay, it's a foul. But VAR are like, we're going to say cages, we're going to ref to the monitor. I felt that there was 12 minutes of stoppage time, which Tottenham still with 102 minutes are like doing nothing because the officiating was so poor. I just felt like they're desperately looking for reasons to rule out goals. They're taking the fun out of games, the momentum out of the match, but they're taking too long with these decisions. They're taking way too long with these decisions, and it's just annoying. But I want to talk about Chelsea because I've been criticising Tottenham a lot, but I do think Chelsea put in a good performance. I do think they worked really hard. I thought Chalobah had a good game. I thought defensively they were absolutely solid. Enzo Fernandez a good game. But Moises Caicedo was Chelsea's player of the season this year, not Cole Palmer. He won 7 duels and made 4 tackles, more than any other player in the first half. He was absolutely boss in the first half. He was causing real issues in the Tottenham midfield. But look at this, 90% pass accuracy, disallowed screamer, 5 out of 5 long balls, 4 out of 4 tackles, 5 recoveries, 8 out of 9 ground duels won. This is a bog standard Moises Caicedo performance. Every time I watch Chelsea, Moises Caicedo, top 2 players on the pitch. Every time I watch Chelsea. And I thought it was a disciplined performance from Chelsea. I thought it was a well-organised performance from Chelsea. I felt they were more up for it than Tottenham. And I thought Moises Caicedo was absolutely brilliant. In regards to Tottenham, Bentancur was particularly poor. Maybe a Doggy and Van der Ven could have done better for the goal. The brightest spark at Tottenham right now is Jed Spence, and that's the guy that Ange Postecoglou didn't even want at the start of the season. Bergvall's a good bright spark. Archie Gray didn't obviously start today. He's a bright spark. Odebear's definitely got elements in his game that could be exciting. Solanke got no service, but this Tottenham team needs major rebuilding. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.